Good morning. So we shall continue from where we have left yesterday, that the second phase of Indian national movement, and particularly after the Congress became a big organization from 1885 to 1900, the Congress which had started from 72 members. So we have seen the objective behind the establishment of Congress. So objective was very clean, that to promote, look at the objective. To promote national integration by uniting the various sections of Indian society, and secondly, mental, moral, social and political awakening and awareness among the Indians, and third, to consolidate the union between India and England. So objective was very mild and well decorated objective, that to integrate the various sections of Indian society and thereby promoting the national integration. Second, mental, moral, social, political awareness among the Indians. And third is very common, that is to consolidate the union between India and England. So with the establishment of Congress, if you look at the first phase, when the Congress became a very big organization, so the Indian National Congress, that moderate and extremist phase, and moderate phase. So objective was very much clear, but not as such defined, that self-government or the Swaraj. Or with the method also, whether to go for the constitutional development or constitutional method, or you go for the passive resistance. But anyway, with these policies, the moderate and extremists were able to generate momentum in the Indian National Congress. But here, along with that, the aggressive policy of the British, that is a policy of divide and rule, that policy of divide and rule had also become a very important facet of the British ruling system, because as soon as the nationalist momentum was going on, the policy of divide and rule became very common. So policy of divide and rule, we will see the work of Lord Curzon, (1899 to 1905), work of Lord Curzon. Lord Minto. Lord Chelmsford. So here, Lord Curzon, Lord Minto, Lord Chelmsford. So Lord Curzon, look at his approach, that Lord Curzon, he wanted to go for the partition of Bengal. And then to subside the Indian National Congress. So partition of Bengal, Bengal was a nerve center of nationalism. All the ideologies of the national movement, from moderate to extremists to revolutionaries, all were coming out from Bengal and spreaded in different parts of India. So therefore, the Bengal was in the target since day one, and Curzon wanted to divide Bengal in such a way that there should be demographic inequality and there would be a minority consciousness. Here you have a Muslim majority and the Hindu minority, and the Hindu majority and the Muslim minority. So thereby wanted to create two parts of the Bengal with the basis of minority consciousness, and then subsequently provoking the communalism. Linguistic issues, here the Bengali speaking will be dominant, and here will the non-Bengali speaking will be dominant. So therefore, Curzon was very much in designed fashion to create such a scenario of the social, economic, and political local problems in Bengal, so that the feeling of nationalism would be subsided. So the real reason behind the partition of Bengal was to suppress the rising tide of nationalism. But officially Curzon said that Bengal is a big state, and in order to have a better administrative manageability, we need to divide Bengal. So better administrative manageability, if big size of the state is a region, then there was a much bigger size than Bengal. It was Madras and the Bombay. So Curzon's design was very much exposed that the real intention behind the partition of Bengal was not the administrative region, but officially it was said that it was because of the administrative region. But the real reason was to divide the rising tide of nationalism from Bengal, so that Bengal will be gripped in the many local problems and the feeling of nationalism would get subsided. This is the real fashion of Lord Curzon. You know, the Secretary of State, the Home Secretary of Bengal, Home Secretary of England, Raisley. So Raisley, he said to Curzon, look at the sentence, Bengal united is a power, and Bengal divided will pull Bengal in several different ways. Bengal divided will pull Bengal in several different ways. So Raisley, Curzon. So Bengal united is a power, and Bengal divided will pull Bengal in several different ways. So this statement was enough to predict that what was the real intention of Curzon and the British Home Secretary Raisley. Bengal united is a power, Bengal divided will pull Bengal in several different ways. Means there will be so many local tensions, so many economic crises. So when the anti-partition movement had started, the anti-partition movement, it was led by Rabindranath Tagore, and he composed the cultural song of Bengal, Amar Sonar Bangla. There was anti-partition movement. Amar Sonar Bangla had started. This is a cultural song of Bengal, and at the same time Raksha Bandhan Divas to promote unity between Hindus and Muslims. But the big issue was this anti-partition movement of Bengal very soon clubbed with the Swadeshi movement. And it was a big effort. Swadeshi, the boycott of the British goods and British services. There was a famous extremist leader, P. Chidambaram. He started the Swadeshi shipping company, giving enough intensive boost to the Swadeshi movement. So the Swadeshi shipping company was established by P. Chidambaram Pillai. Such effort was taken, a big effort, that Indian traders can take and avail the services of the shipping company. We will not take reliance on the Britishers. So this is how the anti-partition movement was moving on with a great speed. And then when it was clubbed to the Swadeshi movement, so therefore the boycott movement became very intense. I told you yesterday that in 1905, the Banaras session of Indian National Congress, this Banaras session of Indian National Congress, which was presided by Gopal Krishna Gokhale, there was a big discussion that whether the anti-partition movement or the boycott movement should be spreaded in entire India. Boycott movement should be spreaded in entire India. Extremist section of Congress was in favor of the boycott movement to be an all India movement. But the moderate section of the Congress, the moderate said, no, partition of Bengal was a local issue. So therefore we must confine to the local issues. And it should be in the Bengal only. So in 1905 Banaras session, a resolution was passed in which the boycott movement would remain in Bengal, but very strict criticism was made for the policy of Lord Curzon. So first time Congress openly criticized a viceroy for his policy of divide and rule. So criticism was made of the policy of Lord Curzon. But 1906, Calcutta session of Indian National Congress. There was a difference of the approach because this is a time when the moderate was on the back foot and the extremist had got huge momentum. Because of the anti-partition movement, Swadeshi movement, boycott movement, the extremist politics had good acceptability among the people. So because of such a mass support, the extremist was able to catch the support of the people. So extremists demanded resolution on Swaraj immediately. Resolution on Swaraj immediately. And here the moderates still wanted to confine the boycott movement in Bengal. Boycott in Bengal. But the issue of presidentship, extremists wanted Tilak or Lala Lajpat Rai to become president of the session. Moderates wanted Dadabhai Naoroji. Dadabhai Naoroji. So Dadabhai Naoroji, he should become the president of the Congress. Finally, in Calcutta session, there was a compromise formula that Dadabhai Naoroji, he became the president, but 4 resolutions was passed. First time we have the resolution on Swaraj, national education, boycott, and Swadeshi. These 4 resolutions are passed in the Calcutta session of Indian National Congress, and because of the Swadeshi movement, National Education Council was also established. National Education Council was established. So some of the big facts which is important for the prelims, you must revise it. So Swaraj, national education, boycott, and then Swadeshi, and National Education Council was also established. So intensity of the movement had increased significantly, and then we know that in 1907, the Surat session of Indian National Congress, the differences between moderate and extremist reached to its climax in Surat. Earlier, there was a difference between moderate and extremist, the venue of the session. Extremist continuously pushed for Nagpur, and the moderate was pushing for Surat. But finally, the demand of the moderate was accepted, and Surat became the venue of the Indian National Congress. So, Surat session of Indian National Congress, 1907. It was a huge session, but what happened in between? Moderates wanted to take back the resolution passed in 1906. All the 4 resolutions moderates wanted to take back in 1907, because moderates were very much allured by the offer of the British that will go for the constitutional reform, the reform in the council. So, moderates were very much under the allurement of the Britishers or the presentation by the Britishers to go for the constitutional reform. So, moderates wanted to take back, and thereafter the resulted in chaos, and then extremists were expelled from the activities of the Congress. So, when the extremists were expelled from the activities of Congress, we call it a Surat split, which was a catastrophic for the movement of the Congress, because now the demand of the Muslim League, because Muslim League was established in 1906, and Muslim League established because of the communal polarization, but the immediate reason was Hindi-Urdu controversy. Hindi-Urdu controversy. Hindi-Urdu controversy, the Muslim leaders wanted Urdu in the Persian script, and Hindu leaders wanted the Hindi in Devanagari script, leaders of the Congress as well. So, this is the immediate reason behind the establishment of Muslim League, other than the communal polarization. And Muslim League supported the partition of Bengal. Muslim League supported partition of Bengal. Supported partition of Bengal. So, this is the demand of the Muslim League, that Muslims should get the separate electorates. So, demand was definitely pushed, and then Muslims should get the separate electorates. And British government immediately supported the demand of Muslim League related to the separate electorates. In 1909, Morley-Minto reform, the separate electorates was granted. Government of India Act 1909, separate electorates was granted. Congress since already became very weak after the Surat split, but still Congress opposed the separate electorates. But obviously, all the powerful opposing section had already out of the network. Because of that, the Lal Balpal were expelled from the activities of Congress. So, Congress opposed the formula of separate electorates as per the Morley-Minto reform, Government of India Act 1909. Separate electorates was granted, and then Congress opposed. But more important is that British government was very much aware about the dangerous consequence of separate electorates. In conversation between Morley and Minto, you can see it was said that by granting separate electorates, we are sowing the dragon's teeth, harvest of which will be very bitter. So, this statement itself quoting the thing that British government was aware about the dangerous consequence of separate electorates. So, what I said, the conversation between Morley and Minto, it was said that by granting separate electorates, we are sowing the dragon's teeth, harvest of which will be very bitter. But how much bitter it was? But here the consequences was very negative. The consequences that finally the communalism had started growing in India. So communalism became a very intense from now onward. So British government was very much aware about the dangerous consequence of separate electorates. So altogether, the success of the formula of Curzon and Minto, it was very much depicted in Indian politics as a very aggressive policy of the British towards the divide and rule. And then 1911. 1911, Delhi Darbar Delhi Darbar, 1911. First time the British King George V came to India. British King George V came to India. And he made 3 announcements. He made 3 announcements. Annulment of partition of Bengal. Annulment of partition of Bengal, that he had taken the partition of Bengal back. No partition of Bengal. Bihar was separated from Bengal, Bihar and Odisha, both known as Bihar. So separated from Bengal. This is not a partition because the Biharis and the Bengalis are culturally same, but linguistically different. So therefore, there was a demand of the separate Bihar from the people of Bihar itself. So therefore, this is the reason why the Bihar was made a separate state, and then capital of India shifted from Calcutta to Delhi. 3 major announcement was made. So when the capital was shifted, then Lord Hardinge, he was the first viceroy who was shifting his office to Delhi, shifting his office to Delhi, Lord Hardinge II. And he was entering in Delhi in a karma of elephant. Karma of elephants were there, and then on one elephant he was sitting, Lord Hardinge. But somebody was desperately waiting him in the Chandni Chowk. He was Ras Bihari Bose. So he threw the bomb as soon as he saw the elephant, and then he ran away. 1912, he threw out the bomb there in Chandni Chowk. This is known as Delhi bomb case or the Chandni Chowk bomb case. And British police keep on tracing him, and he was spotted in 1942 in Japan. So Chandni Chowk to Japan, in between he joined the Gadar party also. He joined Gadar party also. So Ras Bihari Bose, Chandni Chowk to Japan, and then he joined the Gadar party as well. (1912 to 1942). So Lord Hardinge. So Chandni Chowk to Japan. Anyway, the partition of Bengal and then division of Indian National Congress, the Curzon and Minto. If you look at the Curzon resigned with all these programs without implementation, he was a good programmer but bad implementer. Lord Curzon resigned because of the Curzon-Kitchener controversy. Curzon and Kitchener controversy. Kitchener, he was the member of Viceroy's Executive Council. Viceroy's Executive Council, he was military commander in the Viceroy's Executive Council. And Lord Kitchener, he introduced Kitchener test in the military. And then that controversy led to the resignation of Lord Curzon, because home government, English government had favored Kitchener. So much ceremonial viceroy had unceremonial exit. Much ceremonial viceroy had unceremonial exit. Much ceremonial viceroy had unceremonial exit. So Lord Curzon, Lord Kitchener, this issue had become the resignation of Lord Curzon, and then Lord Minto II, he really implemented all the programs related to the partition of Bengal, and then 16th October 1905 it became effective, and that effectiveness was made by Lord Minto. Then in between, the Innocent will come and try to score the things. 1914, there are two big incidents. One was, that is, Innocent, she joined Indian National Congress. She came to India as a member of Theosophical Movement, and she became the member of Indian National Congress, Innocent. And then at the same time, 1914, Tilak was released from jail. Released from jail. Tilak was released from jail, 1914. Innocent and Tilak. Both were very much inspired by the Home Ruling movement. So obviously, the Tilak and Innocent will have their own work outside the fold of Congress even, because Tilak already expelled from the Congress. So 6 years he remained in jail in Burma, so Home Ruling movement. Here, the Innocent definitely working for unification of Congress. In 1916, Lucknow session, both moderate and extremist was united. 1916 Lucknow session, it is known as Congress of Two Reunion. Congress of Two Reunion. One reunion was related to, why it is called Congress of Two Reunion? Just make it out here. Congress of Two Reunion, first is that union of moderate and extremist. Moderate and extremist reunited. Moderate and extremist reunited in Congress. So moderate and extremist. There are three factors that led to the unification of moderate and extremist. The first factor was Support of Annie Besant. Annie Besant was a big leader of the Congress. Support of Annie Besant. After division of Congress, nothing was working in Congress, but Annie Besant streamlined it. Chalana hai. Support of Annie Besant. Second was death of Gokhale and Firoz Shah Mehta. Both were strong opponent of the entry of Tilak in Congress. Obviously, after the Surat split, there was a huge tension between the moderate and extremist. And moderates were not ready to bent on before the extremist entry. But after death of Gokhale and Firoz Shah Mehta in 1915, it was altogether the massive opposition from the moderate side had gone. And third factor that led to the unification of the moderate and extremist was moderation in voice of Tilak. Moderation in voice of Tilak. Three factors. So support of Annie Besant, death of Gokhale and Firoz Shah Mehta, and then moderation in the voice of Tilak. What is this moderation in the voice of Tilak? Actually, Tilak, Swaraj is my birthright, but anyway, when Tilak explained the meaning of Swaraj, he said Swaraj within the British Empire and not independent of it. Look at this statement. So Swaraj, he expressed very explicitly that within the British Empire and not independent of it. So obviously, that led to the situation that we can say the moderate and extremist. So Swaraj, I mean within the British Empire and not independent of it. So this is a statement guarding the way that how moderate and extremist reunited in the Lucknow session of Indian National Congress. Annie Besant played a very important role in this unification. Then second is called unification of Congress and Muslim League. The second was unification of Congress and Muslim League. Unification of Congress and Muslim League. Tilak and Jinnah played a very important role in the unification of Congress and Muslim League. Tilak and Jinnah, very important role in the unification of Congress and Muslim League. So now both Congress and Muslim League leaders, they realized that there should be a common agenda before the British. They had faith in the mass movement. But this Lucknow session was proving blunder in many cases, because Muslim League got opportunity to take the platform of the Congress and to expand its wing in the various parts of India. And at the same time, here at the level of Congress and Muslim League relation, it had become a big issue that after non-cooperation movement, both parted the ways, and then ultimately this Lucknow session became the short-term honeymoon between Congress and Muslim League that already had turned into divorce after the non-cooperation movement. So, but here we call Congress of Two reunion. This is called Congress of Two reunion. Ambika Charan Majumdar was the president of this session. So here, look at the chronology before you take the chance of 1914, Tilak released from jail. Okay. 1915, Gokhale and Mehta, Firoz Mehta, Gokhale and Mehta died. Then 1916, April 1916, April and September, Annie Besant and Tilak and Annie Besant started Home Ruling Movement. Tilak started Home Ruling Movement in April 1916 and Annie Besant started in September 1916. And then December 1916 we have the Lucknow session. So before Lucknow session, already Tilak and Annie Besant had started the Home Ruling Movement. And then 1917 we have the Montague Reform. And then Annie Besant decided to take back the Home Ruling Movement. So this Home Ruling Movement, which was in April and September, in April 1916 Tilak started and September 1916 Annie Besant started, before the Lucknow session. So both had already established a good degree of chemistry in terms of launching the national movement, April and September. Tilak was confined to Maharashtra and Karnataka, and then Annie Besant, Bombay. Bombay was with Annie Besant, Bombay and rest part of India. So both had already defined their areas before entering in the atmosphere of Home Ruling Movement. So December 1916, Lucknow session, before that, both had started the Home Ruling Movement. Based on Irish Home Ruling Movement, within the British Empire, India to be managed by Indians. So this formula was agreeing to Tilak also and Annie Besant also. But 1917, Annie Besant was arrested by British government and her arrest became the international headline. Even American President Woodrow Wilson had to give the statement about the arrest of Annie Besant. Therefore, British government released Annie Besant. And then 1917, Montfort reform was promised. Montfort reform was promised. And then establishment of a responsible government. So establishment of a responsible government, that is what is called Montfort reform. And immediately after this reform, Annie Besant decided to take back Home Ruling Movement. But other leaders of the Congress, they were not happy with Annie Besant. And Annie Besant became the president of Indian National Congress also in Kanpur session, in Calcutta session of 1917. In Calcutta session of 1917, she was the first woman president of the Congress. First women president of the Congress. Calcutta session of 1917. First women president of the Congress. So obviously the Home Ruling Movement received a big jolt when the Annie Besant decided to take back, and she became the president also. So Surendranath Banerjee and later on Bipin Chandra Pal left Indian National Congress and established Indian Liberal Federation. So Indian Liberal Federation was established by Surendranath Banerjee, and then Bipin Chandra Pal also joined it. Meanwhile, Tilak was continue with the Home Ruling Movement, but Tilak also went to England to file a case before the British government. This was a defamation case against Valentine Cyril. Valentine Cyril wrote a book, Father of Indian Unrest. So, Valentine Cyril wrote a book, Father of Indian Unrest. Father of Indian Unrest. Title hero was Tilak. So Tilak went to England to file case against Valentine Cyril, and then Home Ruling movement had already subsided. So Home Ruling movement had already subsided, but the Gandhi, after advent of Gandhi, Gandhi had taken the command of Home Ruling movement. Gandhi became president of Home Ruling movement. He was the president, and he integrated Home Ruling movement in non-cooperation movement. And he gave new name to Home Ruling movement. It was Swaraj Sabha. It was Swaraj Sabha. So Gandhi revived again, and then he integrated the Home Ruling movement, and now it became Swaraj Sabha. So Gandhi, Home Ruling movement, non-cooperation movement. He integrated Home Ruling movement in non-cooperation movement, and it was renamed as Swaraj Sabha. And finally, the British government in 1919 came with the idea which is called a Montagu-Chelmsford reform. Chelmsford reform. And Montagu-Chelmsford reform, you can find here. Yes, this is how the Montagu-Chelmsford reform, you can find that the Government of India Act 1919, which is considered as the first step towards responsible government. The first step towards responsible government. First step towards responsible government. Hierarchy was introduced. Hierarchy was introduced in provinces. Hierarchy was introduced in provinces. So hierarchy was that the provincial subject was divided in two parts, the reserved subject and the transferred subject. The reserved subject, the high profile ministry, law and order, police, jail, land revenue, trade, taxation, it all was taken by the British governor. So governor had hold over these subjects, and governor in the council. But governor was not responsible to legislative assembly. And transfer subject means the subject like local self-government, agriculture, road construction, health, education. it would be transferred to the Indian minister. So health, education, road, agriculture, local self-government, this is called transferred subject. But governor can have veto over this subject. But this is for the first time Indians got opportunity to become a minister. So this formula is called establishment of responsible government. Women got the voting right, but not all women got the voting right. Then you'll find that the salary and other expenses of the India House and the Secretary of State became the responsibility of British government. Indian government won't pay that. And then High Commissioner was appointed in London to represent India. So therefore, obviously, the role of the Secretary of State became less, became minimized, and more power was given to the Viceroy. So this is how the summarization of Government of India Act 1919, and it is referred as the first step towards the establishment of responsible government. So diarchy was introduced in provinces. Diarchy was introduced in provinces. The establishment of responsible government. So diarchy was established in provinces. Provincial governance. So this formula was the ultimate thing that British had promised in the 1917, and British said that it is the expectation of the home ruling movement. Okay, fine. So let the congressman prepare to become a minister. But here, the advent of Gandhi in Indian politics. So advent of Gandhi in Indian politics, a seasoned campaigner of South Africa, seasoned campaigner of South Africa, 1894 to 1906. This is a phase of the moderate politics. Moderate politics. Prayer, petition, persuasion, all the subjective thing. So moderate, this is a phase of the moderate politics of Gandhi in South Africa. So Gandhi understood that India was a British subject. So therefore, the British government must take the note regarding the problems of the Indians in South Africa. There were three types of Indians living in South Africa. First was the indentured labor. Indentured labor were those who went to South Africa to work in plantation and the mines. They were known as the indentured labor, under contract for a period. So they were known as indentured labor. Second, ex-indentured labor. Those who were living in South Africa even after expiry of the contract. And third was Gujarati Memon Muslims. Those who went to South Africa as a trader. So they were facing huge discrimination from the white government of South Africa. And therefore the Gandhi, as a moderate thinker and the student of Thoreau, from Thoreau he learned the basic principle of civil disobedience movement. So as a seasoned campaigner of the moderate politics, once Gandhi decided to go to London from South Africa to highlight the issue of the problem of the Indians before the British government. So after reaching London, he sent a message to Leo Tolstoy, and Tolstoy replied immediately that good luck. So he sent a message that what he was doing in South Africa. So when he was coming back to South Africa from London, on a sip of the deck, So London, definitely he was successful in highlighting the issues before the British government. So while he was coming back, he decided to write the editorial for his newspaper, Indian Opinion, in South Africa. So he was publishing a newspaper, Indian Opinion, and then he decided to write so many editorials for his newspaper. That editorial was recollected in the form of a book called Hind Swaraj. So Hind Swaraj was nothing but a collection of the editorial from his newspaper, Indian Opinion. He was publishing Indian Opinion, he was publishing this newspaper in South Africa. So Hind Swaraj. And this book, Hind Swaraj, he categorically said that Indians were very much allured by the industrial civilization of the West. Indians were very much allured by the industrial civilization of the West. So this is the reason Indians readily accepted British rule over India. Indians understood that coming in contact with the Britishers will modernize India. So Indians were so much allured by the industrial civilization of the West, and they readily accepted the British rule over India. This is how he perceived the establishment of British Empire in India. So in the first phase, Gandhi tried to prove himself. He already proved his leadership skill as a propagandist, as a journalist, as an organizer, as a fundraiser. So therefore, the Gandhi's activities as a leader was very much acknowledged by the people in South Africa. So he was a propagandist, he was a journalist, he was an organizer, he was a fundraiser. So as a journalist, propagandist, he already proved his leadership. Gandhi had inbuilt character of leadership. He always had uncompromising attitude. Then stick to the truth. His firmness with the truth. And then capability to understand the psychology of people. And of course, he was a fantastic orator. So he had inbuilt character of leadership. So why he was a leader? Then second phase of the Gandhi, that is 1906 to 1914, it was phase of the passive resistance. Passive resistance, in which he made the experiment of satyagraha. This is one of the finest principles of civil disobedience movement, satyagraha. Not absolute truth, then relative truth, but truth should prevail, satyagraha. So Gandhi made this experiment there, discussion and debate to come out with the truth. Even not absolute, then relative truth also. But satyagrahis should be capable enough self-restraint, suffering to change the mind and hearts of the opponent. So there should be self-restraint and capability of self-suffering till you are successfully changed the mind and hearts of the opponent. How this satyagraha is relevant in modern days? Whatever the problems you face in Indian society, whether it is intolerance, sectarian conflict, growing tension, materialism, how you will find the Gandhian principle very relevant. So this is the reason why the Gandhi. So Gandhi was very good in all these technique. He established Tolstoy Farm in South Africa, and this is the time when Sir Ratan Tata, he gave 25,000 rupees to Gandhi to set up his ashram. Even the Congress and Muslim League workers also generated fund for Gandhi. Nizam of Hyderabad was also very supportive. So how he was running the Tolstoy Farm and then managing the affairs of Indians and the protest of Indians in South Africa. So Gandhi's early career and activism was well acknowledged. And finally, Lord Hardinge went to South Africa, had a meeting with the South African government, and then Gandhi agreed to return back to India. 9th January 1915. And South African government also agreed to take back some of the laws discriminating Indians. So 9th January 1915, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, after 20 years of the long experience in South Africa, returned back to India, which is known as NRI Day. Gandhi had a meeting with Gokhale, a seasoned campaigner, and Gokhale gave two fundamental lessons to Gandhi. Never jump into action before understanding the situation. Means until unless you have capability to understand the Indian villages, should not initiate the politics. And do not join political organization which can influence you. Join the organization which you can influence. So why Gandhi was known as the disciple of Gokhale, or Gokhale is a political guru of Gandhi. So Gokhale is a political guru of Gandhi. So Gokhale is regarded as political guru of Gandhi. In 1915, Gokhale died. Look at the age-wise, there is no such difference. 1866, there was a birth of Gokhale, and 1869, there is a birth of Gandhi. So 3 years gap. 3 years gap only. Gokhale died in 1915. Is only 45, 46 years of age. And then legacy of Gokhale was to be carried out by Gandhi further. So Gandhi, he definitely helped British in South Africa. During the Boers War in 1910, Boers War, the war between Dutch and the British, Gandhi started ambulance service for the British soldiers. So he was quite generous, supportive to the British. He was loyal to the British, cooperator to the British. And Gandhi here in India also said to the Indians that Britain is in difficulty and you should join the British forces during the First World War. So Gandhi's support to the British was acknowledged by the British, and Gandhi got the title of Chauri-Hind, particularly the support he given in the Boers War. So Gandhi got the title of Chauri-Hind. So Gandhi-British relation was going very good. Gandhi got the title of Chauri-Hind. Chauri-Hind. But My dear, three consecutive movements, 1917 and 1918, there were three consecutive movements Gandhi had instated. Champaran Satyagraha, Ahmedabad mill strike, and Khera peasant movement. In three consecutive movements, Gandhi definitely got the huge support from the peasant and workers. Champaran Satyagraha, it was a problem of the indigo cultivator, which is known as Tin Kathia system. 3/20 part of the land must be used for indigo cultivation, and British was charging extra land revenue, extra rent. So 3/20 part of the land. This is called Tin Kathia system. So when Gandhi went there, he along with other local Congress members, he started satyagraha. British government led by district magistrate in Champaran constituted Indigo Commission. Gandhi also became member of that commission, and it was understood by the British government that those who will cultivate indigo will pay extra tax. Extra tax was known as Sarabeshi. So those who will cultivate will pay extra tax, and those who will not cultivate will not pay extra tax. This is how the Gandhi was successful in managing the satyagraha. Here, the Gandhi's effort was very much acknowledged. So after success of Champaran Satyagraha, entire India, those who know the Gandhi or those who even did not aware about Gandhi, they said Gandhi, Gandhi. He became undisputed leader of the peasant. Rabindranath Tagore, he gave the title of Mahatma to Gandhi during Champaran Satyagraha. Here, the British government also agreed that we will return some of the amounts of illegal collection from the peasant. So people asked, Gandhi sir, why don't you ask for the 100% return? Gandhi smilingly said that return is not important, but British agreed for the return is very important. British agreed for return was very important. So this is what the psychological war also of the British and the national interest. And Gandhi was leading the psychological war of the national issues. So after success of Champaran, Ahmedabad, look at, in Ahmedabad, there was a frequent plague. So British government had distributed the plague bonus. But when plague bonus had stopped, the plague had stopped, the not British government, some mill owner in Ahmedabad. In Ahmedabad, we have Indian mill owner and Indian labor. So it was in between the Indian and the Indian. Indians and the Indians. Mill owners were giving the plague bonus, but once the plague bonus had stopped, the mill owners decided to take back the plague bonus. So Indian labor demanded 50% hike in wages. 50% hike in wages. Mill owners were agreed to give 20%. Mill owners said that we'll give you 20%. But after consultation with Gandhi, the laborers went for a strike. Gandhi himself participated in a strike. And he sat before the mill of his friend Ambalal Sarabhai. Ansuya Ben, she was the sister of Ambalal Sarabhai. She was companion of Gandhi in this Ahmedabad mill strike. Finally, a tribunal was constituted with British and the mill owners and the labor leaders led by Gandhi. And this tribunal agreed for the 35% settlement and increase in wages. So after success of Ahmedabad mill strike, Gandhi's effort to solve the complex issues in India had acknowledged. And that is the reason why he turned out to be undisputed leader of the laborers. Likewise, in the Khera peasant movement, Khera peasant movement. This is another success of Gandhian satyagraha, Khera peasant movement. Look, Khera was a very backward district in Gujarat, suffered from many socio-economic disabilities. There was poverty, there was a famine, there was a plague, alcoholism, untouchability, socio-economic disabilities. The peasants of Khera demanded exemption from the payment of land revenue because of the crop failure. So exemption from the payment of land revenue because of the crop failure. As per the revenue code of the British, it was said that if any year the production is less than 50% of the normal, if any year the production is less than 50% of the normal, then peasants were liable to get the exemption from the payment of land revenue. Peasants were liable to get exemption from the payment of land revenue if production is less than 50% of the normal. This is revenue code. This is a revenue code. So on that very basis, the peasants of Khera demanded exemption from the payment of land revenue, but British was not agree. And therefore, the Khera Satyagraha led by Vallabhbhai Patel. Vallabhbhai Patel first time entered in the politics with the inspiration of Gandhi. He was managing the Khera Satyagraha, and the robust leadership of Patel came into picture during the Khera Satyagraha. He was now the acknowledged leader. So Vallabhbhai Patel. And finally, British government decided not to collect the land revenue from the Khera and the current year and the next year, because the peasant leaders had constituted the Gujarat Mahasabha, and British had fear that it would spread to the other parts of India as well, other parts of Bombay as well. So therefore, British government agreed. So after Champaran, Ahmedabad and Khera, 3 consecutive peasant movements and the labor movement. Imagine the strength of Gandhi, one pocket full with the peasant, other pocket full with the laborers, and this is how he generated the mass base. And thereafter, he became active in Congress, and thereafter, Gandhi means Congress, Congress means Gandhi. So this is how the Champaran, Ahmedabad and Khera peasant movement had a very comprehensive outlook. But 1919, my dear, this is the year very difficult for both Indian nationalism and the British control mechanism. This is turning year in the history of Gandhi's relation with the British. Turning year in the history of Gandhi's relation with the British. Rowlatt Act. Jallianwala Bagh incident. Jallianwala Bagh incident. Rowlatt Act 1919, Jallianwala Bagh incident 1919. This was output of the Sedition Committee report. Even the modern laws of the sedition is there, deeply and fully committed to this Rowlatt Act. So Sedition Committee report led by Sidney Rowlatt, and it was said that Indian youth could be arrested without any formal trial, bina appeal, bina vakil, bina dalil. So Indians had lost the complete political freedom. Indian youth could be arrested without any formal trial for the 2 years. So therefore, the Gandhi decided to go for all India strike. 6th April 1919, Gandhi went for all India strike, and this is first time Gandhi initiated the All India movement. So Rowlatt Act was first All India initiative taken by Gandhi, All India mass movement taken by Gandhi. This question was there in the prelims few years back. So Rowlatt Act, 6th April 1919, All India strike. Most of the students got confused with the non-cooperation movement. No, it was a Rowlatt Act. And core of the Gandhian movement was non-violence. Gandhi himself had taken part in the Rowlatt satyagraha, but within a week, 13th April 1919, there was a Jallianwala Bagh incident, and then 18th April, Gandhi decided to take back Rowlatt Satyagraha. He said that the masses in India, Indian masses, are not matured. Leadership are untrained. So launching mass movement was an Himalayan blunder. So he accepted that this is not right time to go for the mass movement. We have to create momentum in the Indian society. So masses in India are immature, leadership are untrained, and launching mass movement was an Himalayan blunder. So Rowlatt Act was one of the big issues where Indians had completely lost the political freedom. Gandhi tried to make experiment of All India Satyagraha, All India movement, but it did not get so much success. And then we have the Jallianwala Bagh incident. Jallianwala Bagh incident. So Jallianwala Bagh incident, look at the Jallianwala Bagh incident and its prospect. Punjab was already under the civil martial law. And there was a complete ban on taking assemblies there, complete ban on session processions meetings. But 1919, there was a proposed session of Indian National Congress at Amritsar. So the two members of Indian National Congress, local Congress committee, Dr. Satyapal and Saifuddin Kichlu was arrested. And against such arrest, there was a local gathering at Jallianwala Bagh. Women, children also gathered there to celebrate the Baisakhi. They were not aware about any civil curfew. And then General Dyer came and started uninterrupted firing on unarmed Indians, leading to the death of many. Yes, so this is how, this was not a simple incident, it was a massacre. So British government immediately suspended General Dyer and constituted a Hunter committee to inquire into the incidents of Jallianwala Bagh. And then General Dyer returned back to England. General Dyer, he was glorified like a hero. British House of Commons, the lower house of the British Parliament, praised General Dyer for his bravery. British media houses, British newspaper, all were very supportive to General Dyer. Lion of the British Empire, only protector of the British Empire. There was a British newspaper, Morning Post. Morning Post conducted charity for General Dyer. And collected 30,000 pounds as if he did very noble work in India. So that was very much shocking to the Indians. Indians were thinking that the British media, British government, British public will criticize General Dyer for such a massacre. But here there was no condemnation, but simply it was a glorification. So General Dyer was glorified like a hero. Meanwhile, the report of Hunter Committee came, and the Hunter Committee acquitted General Dyer from all charges, did not find any evidence which is actionable. And that is the reason why Gandhi made a historic statement, related his relation with the British, that he said that it's not British government in India is bad, but whole British system is bad. And cooperation in any form with this satanic government is sin. So it is not British government of India is bad, but whole British system is bad. And cooperation in any form with this satanic government is sin. And this region, a loyalist turned into opponent and cooperator turned into non-cooperator. So these two events, the Royal attack and the Jallianwala Bagh incident, had shook the entire approach of Gandhi towards British. And that is the reason I told you that why 1919 it is called as a turning year in the history of Gandhi's relation with the British. So Gandhi was ready for the mass movement. Some of the congressmen opposed Gandhi, like C.R. Das, Motilal Nehru, Annie Besant. They wanted to go with the reform of 1919, diarchy, cooperation with the government. Gandhi said, we are not against the reform, but British must apologize for Jallianwala Bagh incident. Gandhi demanded apology in detail. Till date, government of India asking British government apology for Jallianwala Bagh incident, and till date British repeating the same thing. Yes, regret for such an incident, but not apology. Anyway, the Punjab wrong, that is the Jallianwala Bagh incident, created the background for the massive first mass movement, which is called non-cooperation movement. So here, the non-cooperation movement, look at the factor. Gandhi utilized home ruling movement in the
Home ruling movement was a very important asset for the Gandhi. It was already launched movement. So Gandhi utilized the energy of home ruling movement in Rowlatt Satyagraha also and in non-cooperation movement also. He utilized home ruling movement. He integrated home ruling movement in the non-cooperation movement. He was the president of All India Home Ruling Association. Jallianwala Bagh incident. Jallianwala Bagh incident So Jallianwala Bagh incident, you will find Gandhi asked for apology. British government rejected. Gandhi gave ultimatum of the mass movement and British government reluctant. So British government refused to apology for the incidents of Jallianwala Bagh and therefore the mass movement. Third, the war impact. Because of the First World War, there was an economic crisis in terms of price rise. Massive arrest of the Indian youth because of Jallianwala Bagh incident. Massive arrest by the Indian youth because of Jallianwala Bagh incident. Because of Jallianwala Bagh incident. So Gandhi tried to utilize the Khilafat movement as well. All anti-British sentiments together. Khilafat movement, it was a religious movement of the Muslims to restore the post of Khalifa in Turkey. And when Ali brothers established the Khilafat, All India Khilafat Committee, Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali, Ali brothers, All India Khilafat Committee, Gandhi became president of that committee. And he integrated the Khilafat movement in non-cooperation movement. So non-cooperation movement, it became a religio-political movement. Religio-political movement. Khilafat Swaraj movement, Gandhi gave the slogan that we will achieve Swaraj within a year. Swaraj within a year. But Swaraj remained undefined. Since the 1906 session of the Calcutta, Congress did not define the meaning of Swaraj. It was left to the members to take the things, to take it as the way they wanted to take. But Swaraj remained undefined. And at the same time, Gandhi gave the slogan Swaraj within a year. Many high-profile personalities like Subhash Chandra Bose, he already achieved 4th rank in civil services examination. But he resigned from the elite services and entered in the Gandhian fold of non-cooperation. He was an ardent nationalist. So Gandhi immediately convened the Calcutta session. Gandhi was of democratic temperament. So he organized the Calcutta session of the Congress, special session in September 1920. September 1920, he organized the Calcutta session. to pass the non-cooperation resolution. This session was presided by Lala Lajpat Rai. But 1 month before the session, August 1920, Tilak died. No doubt in this, Gandhi was disciple of Gokhale, but he was absolutely extension of Tilak. So Tilak died. The dawn of the Swaraj and nationalism, Bal Gangadhar Tilak died. 1 month before the session, and then in Calcutta session, Gandhi constituted Tilak Swaraj Fund. 1 crore rupees was collected in this fund. 1 crore rupees was collected in this fund. First time the business houses of India generously donated in this fund. 1 crore was collected. So how the non-cooperation movement started with the non-constructive program, that is a boycott of the British goods and services, and constructive program. That's the beauty of the Gandhian boycott, was constructive boycott, that he always delivered a constructive alternative to any boycott, and therefore it was more effective. Huge setback to the British prospects here. There were many constructive program and the non-constructive program, but Gandhi made it very clear that during the non-cooperation movement, the movement will be non-violent. During the movement, Ali brothers, the leader of the Khilafat movement, gave a statement that Gandhi, that British army, the Muslims should leave the army immediately, which was very much considered as sedition. The Viceroy reading asked Gandhi to criticize the statement of Ali brothers. Gandhi refused. Gandhi said that British is trying to create the rift between him and the Khilafat leaders. So Gandhi refused. So in 1922, after the Chauri Chaura incidents, when Gandhi decided to take back the non-cooperation movement, it was a huge setback for many, particularly the youth like Subhash Chandra Bose, those who left the very high-profile job. They were very critical. Subhash Chandra Bose said, when the enthusiasm of the people was at its zenith, the withdrawal of non-cooperation movement was a national shame. So youth was very disillusioned. Those who left the revolutionary activities, the first phase of revolutionary, youth, those who were involved in violence and killing of the British officers, those who left these all violent activities to become the part of the Gandhian non-cooperation movement, they once again reorganized with more organized form of the mass-based revolutionary terrorism. It was a phase of Bhagat Singh. Muslims in India were very much disillusioned, particularly the religiously oriented Muslims, because withdrawal of Khilafat movement was withdrawal of non-cooperation movement as well. So Muslims charged Gandhi of stabbing them in the back. That led to the heated communalism. I told you that the short-term honeymoon of the Lucknow session of 1916, it had turned into divorce. So small consequences. British government charged Gandhi sedition because of the provocative statement of Ali brothers, and Gandhi was put into prison 6 years, Yerbada jail. And meanwhile, the leaders of the Congress, Motilal Nehru, Sri Das, decided to form a separate party called Swaraj Party. So all these happenings was there in between. that immediately after the suspension of non-cooperation movement. Okay, fine. So Gandhi was in jail. But 1924, within 2 years, Gandhi was released from jail on the ground of health. And 1924, Belgaum session of Congress. So 1920, there are two sessions. One is the Calcutta session, which is a special session, and one is the Nagpur session, which is annual session. And then 1924, there was an annual session at Belgaum. In Nagpur session, which was presided by B. Raghavacharya, CWC, Congress Working Committee, was constituted with 15 members. Linguistic reorganization was demanded. Linguistic reorganization of the Congress unit. And the membership of Congress, 25 paisa. It was reduced to 25 paisa. 25 paisa annually they had to pay for the membership of Congress. But in Belgaum session, this monetary criteria was abolished, and those who know how to spin charkha, so charkha spinning became the minimum qualification to become the member of the Congress. Belgaum session, this is for the first time and the last time Gandhi became the president of Congress, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. So 1924, Belgaum session of Indian National Congress. After this session, Congress was busy in taking the khadi and constructive work, and Gandhi also started the constructive work, training of the cadres of Congress. So Gandhi started the constructive work. 1927, Simon Commission. It was constituted 2 years before. Simon Commission was constituted 2 years before the defined term. 2 years before the defined term, this Simon Commission was constituted. (1927). So Simon Commission constituted, no Indians in this commission. Congress called it is an all-white commission. There were 7 members and there were no Indians. Therefore, in 1927, Madras session of Indian National Congress, Congress passed a resolution to oppose Simon Commission in all its form. A resolution was passed in the 1927 Madras session to oppose the Simon Commission in all its form. Muslim League got divided in 2 parts. Muhammad Ali Jinnah decided to oppose Simon Commission, and Muhammad Safi group of Muslim League decided to support Simon Commission. Decided to support Simon Commission. So Muslim League led by Jinnah and Muslim League more led by Muhammad Safi. (1927) Madras session of Indian National Congress. And 1928, Simon Commission came to India. Simon Commission came to India. So once Simon Commission came to India, then this commission faced massive protest. Simon, go back, Simon, go back. Simon, go back, Simon, go back. This was a massive protest. Simon, go back, and Simon, go back. Anti-Simon procession turned violent when Lala Lajpat Rai died in a British lathi charge. So after death of Lala Lajpat Rai, there was a chances of more reactionary violence. Therefore, immediately Simon Commission returned back, and then Simon Commission submitted its report in May 1930. May 1930. Submitted its report even after civil disobedience movement. In between there are so many events. So May 1930, the report was submitted. And on the basis of that report, the Round Table Conference was organized. Simon Commission was first commission, used the word scheduled caste. Use the word scheduled caste. Identification of the lower caste Hindus and giving them the separate electorates. Responsible government. And after discussion of roundtable conferences, the formula of dominant status will come, but not in the report. So Simon Commission, identification of the word scheduled caste. So once Lala Lajpat Rai died in 1928 and Simon was going back to England, then British Home Secretary Lord Birkenhead, he was the British Home Secretary of State, Lord Birkenhead, challenged Indians to frame the constitution. And challenge was accepted. Challenge was accepted by the Indians, and 1928 Nehru report was prepared. Nehru report was prepared. Nehru report demanded dominion status, responsible government, fundamental right, citizenship, linguistic reorganization of state, secular state. Then Nehru report asked not to consider the communal electorates, but it was only the joint electorates with reservation of seats. Bicameral legislature. So these are the demand of the Nehru report, which was accepted by Congress in Calcutta session, 1928. But Muslim League rejected the report, and then Jinnah gave the 14-point formula. So look at the chronology. If you want to arrange it, 1928, after departure of Simon Commission, departed to England, then Nehru report was prepared. 1928, Calcutta session of Indian National Congress. 1928, Nehru report was accepted. Nehru report was accepted. Nehru report was accepted. And Congress gave ultimatum to the British to accept the Nehru report. Otherwise, Congress would start the mass movement. So 1 year ultimatum was given to the British to accept the Nehru report, or Congress would start the mass movement. This is 1 year ultimatum was given in the Calcutta session. Will accept the Nehru report, otherwise Congress would start the mass movement. Meanwhile, Muslim League rejected this report, and 1929 Jinnah gave 14-point formula. Point formula. 1929, Deepavali Declaration. Deepavali Declaration by Viceroy Irvin. Irvin said that the objective of British government is to grant the dominion status, but after the round table conferences. So in protest in 1929, there was Lahore's resolution of Indian National Congress, Lahore session. Declaration of Purna Swaraj. Declaration of Purna Swaraj. So now the objective which was referred in the Nehru report, that we should go for the dominion status, now the Nehru report became null and void after declaration of the Purna Swaraj as the objective of Indian National Congress. Nehru report became null and void, and thereafter the Purna Swaraj became the objective of Indian National Congress. 1929. So obviously the ultimatum given in the Calcutta session 1928, now it became 1 year. So obviously in 1929 Lahore session, 1 year, Congress was ready for the mass movement. Gandhi also supported the Purna Swaraj resolution. Gandhi also supported the Purna Swaraj resolution. (1929) Deepavali Declaration. So now, as per the ultimatum of Calcutta session, Congress was ready to go for the second mass movement, civil disobedience movement, 1930 to 1934. Look at the causes. First is very clear, what Calcutta session, ultimatum of Calcutta session. Yes. Second, second point was great economic depression. Third, 11-point ultimatum of Gandhi. And fourth, the mass base of the Congress had increased. And then salt satyagraha, the salt, tax on salt. It became the immediate issue, the tax on salt. Gandhi started a salt march from Sabarmati to Dandi. th March to 6th April. "78 members started from Sabarmati with the words that till Gandhi will get the Swaraj, Gandhi will not return to Sabarmati Ashram." And Gandhi never returned back to Sabarmati Ashram after this Dandi march. And when lakhs of the people were there in Dandi, and Gandhi had made the salt satyagraha. So this is a beginning of the civil disobedience movement. Beginning of civil disobedience movement. Suppose. So this is the area where Gandhi, in the coastal region of India, Gandhi started. Mainly, that is the salt satyagraha. Salt satyagraha. Then, in the central India, and in the northeast, we have a program called Forest Satyagraha. We have a program called Forest Satyagraha. In entire northwest, where there was no forest, there was Nai Dhobi Bandh. And in Bihar and Bengal, there was non-payment of Chaukidari tax. Payment of Chaukidari tax. Chaukidari tax. And entire India, the entire India, non-payment of land revenue. Land revenue. So this is how some regional specific program and the round table conferences. So round table conference was immediately after this. So here civil disobedience movement had started, and then the May 1930, the report of Simon Commission was published, and the basis of that report, first round table conference was organized. In first roundtable conference, Congress did not participate because most of the leaders were in jail. They were arrested during the civil disobedience movement. And then Congress was the largest political party. So without participation of Congress, nothing concrete could be achieved. Nothing concrete could be achieved without participation of Congress. Since Congress did not participate, so obviously there is nothing to be coming out. So Prime Minister MacDonald, he offered olive branch to the leaders of Congress and expressed hope that Congress would participate in the second roundtable conference. Meanwhile, those who returned from the first roundtable conference, the Indian leaders, particularly M.A. Zaikar, and Tej Bahadur Sapru, M.A. Zakir, he was from the Hindu Mahasabha. And Tej Bahadur Sapru, he was from the Indian Liberal Federation. M.A. Zakir and Tej Bahadur Sapru, Indian Liberal Federation. They persuaded Gandhi to have a meeting with Viceroy, and this is known as Gandhi-Irwin Pact. Or Delhi Pact. Almost all the demands of Gandhi was accepted, except two demands. This was rejected by Viceroy. Gandhi demanded commutation of the sentence of Bhagat Singh. Gandhi asked Viceroy to commute the sentence of Bhagat Singh. And secondly, the judicial inquiry of the police atrocities. Inquiry of police atrocities. Police atrocities. Judicial inquiry. These two demands was rejected by Viceroy, and Gandhi agreed to participate in the second roundtable conference and agreed to suspend the civil disobedience movement as well. So 5th March 1931. The commutation of the sentence of Bhagat Singh was rejected by Viceroy, and then inquiry of the police atrocities was also rejected. But Gandhi, he belongs to the he believed in the democratic temperament. So he immediately decided to convene the special session of Indian National Congress at Karachi to ratify the non-cooperation resolution, to ratify the Gandhi-Irwin Pact. Gandhi-Irwin Pact. So 29th March 1931, Karachi session, Gandhi-Irwin Pact. But 6 days before the session, British wanted to sabotage the Gandhi's Karachi session and his coming to London. 23rd March, Bhagat Singh and Sukhdev Rajguru all were hanged. So 23rd March 1931, Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev Rajguru were hanged. 6 days before the session. This is the reason why Gandhi faced massive opposition in the Karachi session. Massive opposition in the Karachi session. Karachi session was a historic session. Delhi Pact was ratified. First time the fundamental right, 6 fundamental rights, it was drafted. National economic policy was also framed. Agricultural policy, economic policy, industrial policy was also framed. 29th March 1931. And Gandhi was ready to go to civil disobedience movement, that is second civil disobedience movement. Second roundtable conference. And the first phase of the roundtable conference was that without participation of Congress, second roundtable conference had started. Massive gathering, 146 members had participated, but before the roundtable conference, the leader of the Conservative Party, Winston Churchill, he said very derogatory remarks against Gandhi. He said that he is a half-naked, seditious fakir. He criticized the British government of talking with the Congress on the basis of equality. So the atmosphere was not good. But anyway, Gandhi went to the Buckingham Palace to participate in the second roundtable conference. Here, many leaders had supported, including Bhimrao Ambedkar. He raised the issue of separate electorates to depressed class. Justice Party of Tamil Nadu and other caste-based political leaders of India had supported it. Gandhi, when he got the chance to speak, he spoke very little, comprehensive. He said 3 points. Immediate establishment of responsible government in India. British government said, yes, we are looking for this. Second point is that he said that Indian National Congress is representing India. So British must talk to the Congress first. Congress will bring consensus among the other political parties. And third point, it was related to the depressed class. He said depressed class are Hindus. So he opposed the grant of separate electorates to the depressed class. And in fact, Gandhi understood that granting separate electorate to depressed class will divide Hinduism and thereby weaken the mass base of the Congress and the national movement. So he opposed it, and then the second roundtable conference failed to achieve any objective. So immediately after second roundtable conference, the British Prime Minister MacDonald announced the communal award granting separate electorates to depressed class, and Gandhi started fast unto death. Finally, Madan Mohan Malviya and MC Raja persuaded Ambedkar to have a talk with Gandhi, resulted in Pune Pact or the Gandhi-Ambedkar Pact. 25th September 1932, Pune Pact or the Gandhi-Ambedkar Pact. In this, Ambedkar and Gandhi decided to double the number of reserved seats in the provinces. 71 seats were there, it was increased to 147. And 18% seats in the Central Assembly and adequate representation in the civil services. Ambedkar gave up the demand of separate electorates, and subsequently the British government also amended the provision. So number of reserved seats for the depressed class was doubled, and 18% seats reserved in the Central Assembly and adequate percentage of the civil services of the Dalit in civil services. So in provincial election, the number of reserved seats from 17 to 147. Pune Pact. And thereafter, in jail itself, the anti-untouchability campaign had started. All India depressed class. He established Anti-Untouchability League, All India Anti-Untouchability League, and started his aggressive campaign for the abolition of untouchability from jail itself after the Pune Pact. So we will talk in the third roundtable conference and the Gandhi's suspension and withdrawal of civil disobedience movement in subsequent lecture. Okay, so that's all for the day. Thank you.